So today I want to talk about my experiences with medium format camera and this lens in particular. It's the Tokina AT-X 28mm to 135. Now, this camera is pretty amazing, and I don't know if you know, but like the lenses for medium format are like super expensive, something like 2 grand each. Uh, I know like the 50 was on sale, but you know what? I don't need to buy those expensive lenses. Actually, the reason I bought this camera was because the sensor. Like I was really interested in the quality of each image and how much you can edit each picture. Because my previous camera, which was kind of breaking down little by little, I could only push the colors or the editing so much before it would like break down completely. This one gets like 5 stops of data that I can just manipulate. If you've seen my pictures, you know I like to edit them uh, like anime or like infrared or pretty much anything, just I like to push it to its limit. So I decided to get this lens. I didn't get this lens because it was the best. I got this lens because it's a zoom lens. It's got a nice range, 28 to 135. One thing you should keep in mind is that when you're shooting with medium format, or actually this is kind of like pseudo medium format, like to be honest, is that it's not actually the same ranges on the lenses. Like this is supposed to be 28 to 135, but actually because of the sensor size, this is actually more like 22 millimeters to like 108 or something like that. So, but the great thing about it is that you can zoom in on the computer and you can just grab like some really crazy amazing detail. Anyways, I am not so concerned. I am not so concerned about the best image because of the lenses, because since this is medium format, you're getting so many pixels that it doesn't really matter which lens you use, you're still gonna get amazing resolution. Like a lot of people will tell you that, oh, that lens is not optimized for that camera, and blah blah blah. Actually, that's just like a lot of marketing jargon. Like they just want you to keep buying the latest lenses for that system. But if you have an adapter, you can put your own lenses. So this camera in particular is very popular because it's one of the most affordable medium format cameras or pseudo medium format. And you can adapt all these old vintage lenses to your camera. If you're looking at it on Instagram, you're looking at it on YouTube, Twitter, you can't really tell much of a difference until you start editing. Or even me, I make prints. I've had prints in national museums with a phone. No one could tell the difference. But with this, it's going to be a lot better. Like I'm going to be able to make freaking murals, which is one of the reasons I got it. But let's talk a little bit more about this lens. As you can see, it's one of those shotgun style zoom lenses. One more thing I should mention, this is supposed to be like a 4.5 f-stop. And I've seen this all over YouTube. All the photographers, when they talk about this camera in particular, they're like, oh, 4.5 is too slow, blah, blah, blah. But here's something they just don't know because this is medium format. It's not actually 4.5. Actually, I think the correct number is like, you multiply it by 0.79. I think that's like the crop factor or whatever. Actually, this is supposed to be a 4.5, which would be true on a full frame camera, but on medium format, it actually goes down to 3.5. So a lot of people, they'll slap on like a 1.4 lens on this camera. And let's say you have like a 1.2 lens with a, multiply that by 0.79, you actually get like 0.95. So you slap a 1.2 lens on this camera, it's actually like a 0.95 lens. So whenever you see someone say that, oh, those medium format lenses are too slow, it's actually not true because this camera speeds them up because the sensor size is so big. So this is like actually a 3.5. And another thing, many people also argue that you need optimized lenses because of the sensor is so big. So you need to buy a lens, a brand new lens that will cover the whole sensor. I just don't think that's true. I mean, I have a lot of old vintage lenses and with adapters, like an M42 adapter, and many of them cover the whole sensor size of this camera. Not this lens though. This lens actually gives it some real big vignetting, but that's kind of expected with these kind of old zoom lenses. But you can crop so much in this camera that it doesn't even actually matter at all. Like I just shoot a little bit wider than what I would expect, and I crop out the edges of the circle, and the image is amazing. I mean, it's still gonna be bigger than medium. I mean, it's still gonna be bigger than full frame. You know what I mean? So don't buy, if you do have this camera, don't buy into the hype that you need to buy the new lenses, because you can just buy adapters and you can adapt your old lenses to it, or even your old, more modern ones. You know, you can crop. It's fine. The pixels are a beast. But yeah, about this lens, I got it for $10 on eBay from Germany. Pretty amazing. Brand new, even came out with this hood and certificate and everything. So far, the images have been amazing, just amazing. The only problem is we got Corona going on, and we're not really supposed to be going out. So, and then the computer died, so its content has been kind of slow. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this camera and this lens combo. It actually doesn't really matter which lens you use, as long as it's not like a Yongnuo, all right? Because like mostly old vintage lenses, and doesn't really matter, but like I think old lenses are better than some new ones. Like as long as you don't slap a Yongnuo lens on this camera, you're gonna be fine. I mean, even if it's not like super awesomely pin sharp, you get so much resolution that you can't even see these irregularities. You know what I mean? And the reason I got this lens, the reason I wanted a zoom lens in particular, is because I want to call it the sensor hole. Like, you know, like when you unscrew the lens, you have like a huge ass hole in the camera, and I'm afraid of getting dust in there. So I wanted to get a zoom lens that I don't have to change very often, that I can just walk around and shoot to my heart's content, you know. And like I say, I don't mind if there's like a kind of a vignetting on the sides because of the it's not supposed to be for this camera, but it works just fine. If I just crop it out, it's still a huge picture. And besides that, oh yeah, one more thing, and this is not something I've seen people mention, but like, because the sensor is so huge, the shutter speeds are not the same. Okay, let me try to explain this to you. But like, if you have 1/100th of a second shutter speed on this camera, it's not actually 100. It's not what it's used. It's not what you expect from a 1/100th of a second shutter speed on like a full frame or an APS-C, because the distance that the shutter has to travel to close is much larger than full frame or APS-C. So because of that, you might actually get some kind of shake with your camera. So you have to be really careful with the shutter speeds. You have to be very careful when you hold a medium format camera and you shoot, or else your picture is going to be a little bit blurry. If it's a little bit blurry, it doesn't matter too much because the picture is so huge. But if you shake just enough, the picture will be a little kind of blurry, you know. So that's something people never talk about on YouTube, is that shutter speeds are different on medium format. And it's kind of hard, especially because I like shooting at night. So I'm considering getting a monopod, you know, just a stick. I'm not really crazy about whatever brands, you know. It's just, I just need a monopod to kind of give it one more level of stability, especially with these old lenses. But yeah, I'm going to be making lots of videos with this camera now and testing out my old vintage lenses. Like I say, I can put my 1.2 lens on here, and it's actually a 0.95. You know, it's much cheaper than buying a Leica 0.95 lens. Don't you think so? So yeah, these are some key things I want you to keep in mind. I got this mainly for the sensor. I mean, it's an older sensor, it's like 5 years or something, but it's actually amazing. It's a huge sensor, tons of information, tons of data. Just keep in mind that you can crop, it's fine. You can crop out the circles at the vignetting corners. It doesn't really matter because it's still a huge sensor. Shutter speeds are not the same because the sensor size is way bigger, so you need to be very careful when you shoot. And what I can say is I'm very happy. And yeah, sorry for the lack of content. Like I said, broken camera. Broken computer. Anyways, I'll see you around.